This lesson will cover transitions, which are the effects that you see between clips. When your project moves from one clip to the next, without a transition, it's just going to do so very abruptly. So for example, take a look at these two clips, one right after the other. When it moved from San Francisco to New York, you'll see that it just does so abruptly with no transition of any kind. Now that's perfectly fine if that's the look you're going for. However, if you want to add a transition, this will give it a much smoother shift from one clip to the next. So how do you add a transition? Well, first I'm going to click on the first clip. Then I am going to right click and then click Add an Ending Transition. So if you look here, you will now see this letter A and this line here on the clip. That lets you know there is a transition. So let's now play it again and see what that does. So now you can see that San Francisco kind of faded out before we got to New York. I'll play it one more time. I can also add a transition to the beginning of a clip. So now I'm going to click on this New York clip, right click, and add a starting transition. Now you'll see this letter A and this vertical line lets you know that there's a starting transition. So now let me play this whole thing again. So you'll see an ending transition off of San Francisco and then a beginning transition off of New York. So watch. If that look is very familiar to you, it should be, because I use it quite often when I do my own ScreenFlow projects. So that is adding a transition to the end of a clip and to the beginning of a clip. You can change the transition type by hovering over the transition, and then you'll see this gear appear. Click on it, and then you'll see many different kinds of transitions to choose from. The default is cross dissolve, which is a very good default. It basically just fades out and then fades in. It's a very unobtrusive transition, and you're probably familiar with it because I use it all the time. As a matter of fact, it's the only one I really use. However, I'm going to go to flip over for the ending transition there, and then I'm going to go to grid wipe for the starting transition there. And now let's take a look. I'll do one more. So this time I'll change this one to Jaws wipe, and I'll change this one to radial wipe. Now let's take a look. Lastly, there's another way to get a transition that I think is really attractive. I'm going to click on my second clip. I'm going to drag and drop it to the left. So now you see it's overlapping the prior clip. Now watch what happens when I do that. It's just a gradual fade from one clip to the next. I think this is a really attractive transition, and you don't even need to do anything but drag and drop. Removing transitions is super easy. I'm simply going to right click on a clip, and now I'm going to click on Remove Ending Transition. Now I'm going to right click on the next clip, and I'm going to remove the starting transition. And now they're gone. I just want to leave you with one final thought. Transitions are lots of fun, and you can go down a rabbit hole and end up playing with them a lot. But I just caution against overdoing it with the transitions. If you have a lot of crazy transitions, it'll make your project look amateurish. So when in doubt, just stick with the basic cross dissolve and try to be tasteful with your transitions. And that is transitions.